I'm sure we have several presenters this afternoon. Portland.
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher and members of the board. I'm Lieutenant Susan Jensen, and I'm here on behalf of Sheriff Anderson and the Sheriff's Department. I'm going to be giving you a presentation on Government Codes Section 7283, which is also known as the Truth Act. There's two parts to the Truth Act. The first part went into effect January 1st, 2017, and established certain requirements for law enforcement and how law enforcement processes certain requests that we receive from U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. The second part of the Truth Act went into effect January 1st, 2018, and it requires that local law enforcement conduct community forums on an annual basis. That is why I'm here today in front of you. So we want to talk about our compliance with the Truth Act over the last year for 2021. Before I review the statistical data regarding our compliance with the Truth Act, I want to review the requirements of the Truth Act. Part of the Truth Act, if ICE requests or seeks access to persons that are detained in custody at local law enforcement jurisdiction or at the Sheriff's Department, they must make their request in writing. In turn, we are mandated to notify the person that they are asking to see in our facility and let them know that the request was made by immigration. This also complies with Government Code 7283.1. The Truth Act also mandates that we track all records related to ICE and communications with ICE, which are public records under the Public Records Act. So there's 4 ways that ICE may seek access to a person in local custody on local charges. The first one is an interview. ICE must seek this in writing. What they will do is they will submit in writing at the Sheriff's Department at the jail facility that they want to interview somebody that is in our facility. When we receive that, we then have to notify that person. The interview is strictly voluntary, and the inmate may have an attorney present. We must inform the inmate in writing of the interview request, their right to refuse the interview, and their right to counsel. If they already have an attorney, we must also provide that written request to their attorney. We are obligated to provide the inmate with a written consent that explains the purpose of the interview, that the interview is voluntary, and that he or she may decline to be interviewed or may choose to be interviewed only with his or her attorney present. The second one is that ICE may request a release date for a person that is in our local custody. They will then want to know the schedule. Again, this request must be in writing, and the inmate must be informed of the request. Senate Bill 54, which is a California Values Act, that went into effect January 1st, 2018, impacted when we can provide a release date to ICE. We can now only provide a release date to ICE if an inmate has a certain criminal history. That criteria is pretty long, so I won't go over it, but it's covered under Government Code 7282.5 and 7284.6 AC, which will explain those. Most of those are all violent crimes. The third way is for ICE to request an ICE hold. What they will do is they will submit a form, which is a Department of Homeland Security form, I-274A. Senate Bill 54 prohibits us from honoring a hold based on a detainer. We can only honor a hold from ICE based on a judicial warrant, based on probable cause, and that warrant has to be signed by a magistrate. The other one is a transfer of custody. ICE may request that the facility facilitate transfer of a local custody to the custody of ICE. Now again, SB 54 requires that we can facilitate that transfer, but again, it's very specific as to the criminal history that was on the release date. So in the year of 2021, we received 0 requests from ICE for interviews. We received 0 release date requests from ICE. We received 0 Department of Homeland Security forms I-274A from ICE. And we received 0 requests for transfer of custody. For 2021, that's a short presentation on our compliance with the Truth Act. Does anyone have any questions?
Questions from the board? Pretty straightforward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that the extent of the presentation today?
That is it.
Is there any update from 2022 that can give us any expectation of where it's headed?
So far for 2022, we're still at 0.
At 0. So kind of in general speaking, Lieutenant, do you think the ICE program is a valuable tool for law enforcement for the safety of the community?
I do.
And why is that?
I feel like it's important for the safety of the community and that we're housing these individuals that may have a violent history or a violent criminal past, and we're housing them to keep our community safe and to keep them off the street and out of our neighborhoods and communities. At the same time, keeping those that we're housing safe and secure as well.
And throughout the state of California, how many other counties offer this service?
0. Well, yeah, 0.
So what we're doing is kind of a one of a kind to benefit the communities, not necessarily just Yuba County, but in surrounding areas.
Correct.
Sounds pretty straightforward to me. That it's really an asset to all of us. So thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I think that probably closes to
the chair. We do have a report out from closed session from earlier. So you might.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board met in closed session on items 134, 2022, 162, 2022, 188, 2022. All members other than Supervisor Fletcher being present. No reportable action was taken on any of those items. That concludes the report out from closed session. Thank you all.
Thank you. Any comments that you had the opportunity earlier? You have a card. Very good.
Karen Liggett. On the ICE program that I was, yesterday the other day, Saturday, I believe, I went to the library to look at the Megan's Law and the sex offender list. Found out my old neighbor that was from Mexico, he's in his 90s now, but I found out he was on Megan's list. He was right next to the pediatric clinic on East Street, around the corner from Covalot School. And he was originally from Mexico. And I don't know if he ever became a citizen, but he was on the list. He got out when he was in his 70s from prison. But he could have been molesting and raping people. There's a whole lot of them of illegals from Mexico on Megan's list and sex offender list. If you guys take the time, you guys will see it. There's a lot of them. And our community needs to be safe. That's why I'm glad ICE comes in and takes these people home, because our community needs to be safe from these people. If they're going to do damage in their own country, fine. But when they bring it here, it's not acceptable. So I thought I'd let you know I was shocked to see that my old neighbor did that because he never indulged it. I don't even know my old landlord even knew about him. But this was right next to a pediatric clinic. He could have had numerous victims that we don't even know about. And now that he was hurting kids and got caught. So ICE and the sheriff, they need to go and have more resources to protect our children, please.
Very good. Thanks, Karen. Hearing, seeing no other business, meeting adjourned.
Recording stopped.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at PlumasLakeSelfStorage.com.